In the village of Isaliko, children were taught to fear the forest, not because of wild beasts, but because of what whispers in the dark. The elders spoke of a sacred silence, broken only by the heartbeat of forgotten spirits. No one entered after sunset. No one dared. But Oba, 16 and restless, had never been one to follow the rules. He lived with his grandmother, Mama Ifa, in a hut on the edge of the village. Every night, she recited proverbs over her cooking pot, her voice seasoned with warnings. "The forest is an ear that remembers too much," she would say. "It listens, and sometimes it speaks." That night, Oba couldn't sleep. The moon was too bright, the air too still. And then, he heard it. Doom, doom, doom. At first, he thought it was a heartbeat. Then he realized, it was a drum. But not from the village square. No festival was taking place. No one beat drums at this hour. It came from the forest. Oba's breath caught. The rhythm was slow, deep, and steady, like the earth itself was speaking. It wasn't a sound meant for celebration. It was a summon. Curiosity gripped him like a claw. He slipped on his sandals and crept outside, past sleeping goats and empty baskets. The village was silent. The only sound was that distant drumbeat, calling. He hesitated at the forest's edge. His grandmother's voice echoed in his mind. But the drumbeat grew louder, doom, doom, and something inside him stirred. A strange knowing. Like the beat already lived in his bones. And then, he stepped into the trees. As he walked deeper, the night grew heavier, thicker. Leaves whispered his name. Shadows shifted like watchers. But he didn't stop. Because the sound had changed now. The drum wasn't just beating. It was breathing. Oba pushed through the underbrush, guided by the rhythm echoing in his chest. The deeper he went, the more the forest seemed to come alive. Trees twisted toward him. The wind carried voices he couldn't understand. And then, in a small clearing bathed in silver moonlight, he saw it. A drum. Not just any drum, this one was carved from the ancient Irako tree, its wood dark and veined like old skin. Symbols he had never seen before shimmered across its surface. Vines snaked around it as if protecting it, or holding it down. It sat upon a raised mound of smooth stones, untouched by time, glowing faintly as though moonlight danced only for it. Oba felt his breath catch. Something ancient pulsed from within the drum. A strange warmth crept up his arms as he stepped forward. Against every warning, every tale, every whispered caution, he reached out and touched it. The moment his fingers brushed the skin, the drum beat on its own, doom. Doom. Oba stumbled back in shock. Then he heard it. Not with his ears, with his mind. The one who feeds you stole your blood. The one you trust sealed truth with mud. Oba froze. Who said that? He whispered, his voice trembling. No one answered. The drum sat still again, as if it had never moved. But the message, the riddle, had already taken root in his soul. His heart pounded. His palms were sweating. Something in that forest had chosen him. The silence that followed was louder than any sound. As he turned to leave, the forest didn't resist. It parted gently for him, as though allowing the chosen to walk away, for now. But Oba knew he would return. Because the drum had spoken. And its secrets were just beginning. Oba could not sleep. Since that night in the forest, the rhythm of the drum haunted him. Even now, with his eyes closed, he could feel it, doom, doom, beating softly inside his chest like a second heart. He turned over on his mat again. The riddle echoed in his mind. The one who feeds you stole your blood. The one you trust sealed truth with mud. What did it mean? The next morning, he sat outside peeling cassava when Mama Aoife studied him through narrowed eyes. "You went into the forest, didn't you?" Oba froze. "How?" "The wind changed that night. The leaves told me," she said, her voice low and firm. "And your eyes haven't stopped searching since." Oba hesitated, then told her everything. About the drum. The carvings. The voice. Mama Aoife dropped her calabash. "Ah," she gasped. "You touched the drum of the lost seer?" "What is it?" Oba asked. "A relic from the days before the great betrayal," she said. "Long before you were born, there was a seer in Isilico, a man who saw truth through spirits and rhythms. One day, he vanished into the forest. Only his drum was left behind, cursed, they said, to speak truths no one wanted to hear." Oba's breath quickened. "Why cursed?" "Because truth is dangerous," she whispered. "It breaks apart the lies that hold people's power together." She grabbed his hand. "Oba, listen to me. You must never return. That drum is not your burden to carry." But it was already too late. That night, the wind shifted again. And with it came the slow, deep doom, 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 of the drum, not from the forest this time, but from within Oba's dreams. The drum was calling again. And this time, it was ready to reveal more. The second time Oba stepped into the forest, the air was different, heavier, humming with tension. The trees seemed to lean closer, as if they remembered him. The path back to the clearing had already carved itself into his feet. The forest, somehow, expected his return. He reached the mound. The drum sat exactly as before. Still. Silent. But waiting. He didn't hesitate this time. Oba placed both palms on the drum's surface, and it beat without sound. Instead of thunder, it released visions into his mind like lightning bolts. He saw Chief Nweko, laughing in a hidden granary during the famine years. While children had died with empty stomachs, he had feasted behind locked doors. He saw Elder Duma, scheming with warriors to lead them into a trap, so he could rise into the council as a hero when they failed. Oba gasped. "No, no, this can't be real." But the drum continued, relentless. "The roots beneath your feet are rotten. The past was stolen. The present is boughten." The forest spun around him. These were the men who blessed newborns. Who judged village disputes. Who led prayers during the yam festivals. The same men who smiled at Oba in the square, were traitors. He fell to his knees. Everything he had known, every story, every elder's proverb, was a carefully wrapped lie. The beat of the drum faded, but the weight of its truth crushed his chest. When he returned home, he avoided Mama Aoife's gaze. The lies were too heavy to carry in words. But the worst part wasn't what he had seen. It was the realization that the drum had only just begun peeling away the past. He could already feel it stirring again. And the next beat would be personal. The next day, Oba sat quietly at the village well, pretending to fetch water. But inside, his soul was a storm. Everything he had seen, Chief Nweko's betrayal, Elder Duma's lies, burned like fire under his skin. How could no one else see what he had seen? Were they blind, or just silent? As he filled his calabash, an old man shuffled past. His face was covered with a hood despite the heat, and his feet made no sound on the dusty ground. Oba watched him carefully. The villagers didn't seem to notice him. But Oba did. The man turned toward him briefly, and their eyes met. Oba's heart skipped. The man had no shadow. He blinked, startled. Was it a trick of the light? No, there was none. As the man passed, he leaned close and whispered. The drum chooses carefully. Not every truth must be spoken aloud. Then he was gone. Oba dropped the calabash. He ran straight to Mama Aoife. "Grandmother," he panted. There was a man with no shadow, he knew about the drum. Mama Aoife's eyes darkened. "You've seen the Watcher." "Who is he?" "No one knows. But he appears when someone starts uncovering the buried truths. Some say he's the last seer reborn. Others say he's a guardian of the drum. But one thing is sure, once he appears, the path only grows darker." Oba's blood turned cold. That night, Oba sat outside staring at the sky. The riddle beat again in his mind. The one who feeds you stole your blood. And then it clicked. The only one who had fed him since childhood was Mama Aoife. He turned to her slowly as she stirred the evening soup. Could she? No. Could she be the one the drum warned him about? The next drumbeat would bring answers. But it might also destroy everything he loved. Oba couldn't sleep. His grandmother's voice had always been his comfort. Her stories shaped his dreams. Her hands raised him. But now, a seed of doubt had been planted. Could the woman who raised him be the very one who betrayed him? The next morning, as Mama Aoife went to the stream, Oba stayed behind. He stood inside their small hut, heart pounding. He didn't know what he was looking for, only that the drum's riddles pointed to secrets too close to ignore. Then he saw it. A small crack beneath the hearthstone. Something glinted beneath it. He dropped to his knees, pried the stone loose, and found a tightly rolled scroll, sealed in black wax and covered in red earth. His fingers trembled as he opened it. It wasn't just a scroll. It was a record, names, dates, transactions, all written in ancient ink. But one line struck him like lightning. Oba. Taken during the burning night. Hidden under the name of Aoife. Real mother, Nena of Ojua. Oba's vision blurred. Taken? His mother wasn't Mama Aoife? His hands shook as he read on. It described a child stolen from a burning village, smuggled across territories, and claimed by a woman desperate to protect him, or control him. Mama Aoife returned moments later, holding a basket of herbs. She stopped cold when she saw the scroll in his hands. Silence stretched between them like a blade. You lied to me, Oba whispered. I saved you, Mama Aoife said, stepping forward. You would have died that night. Your mother's village was set ablaze. You stole me. Her face crumbled. I did what I had to do. But not everything is as the drum says. Oba stepped back. Then tell me the truth. All of it. Mama Aoife's eyes glistened with tears. If I do, you won't see me the same. He held out the scroll. I already don't. Outside, the forest whispered. The drum was waking again. And this time, the next truth would unravel everything. Oba couldn't look at Mama Aoife the same way anymore. She still made his food. Still lit the evening fire. But every glance, every word between them now carried the weight of unspoken truths. That night, they sat in silence as flames crackled between them. Mama, Oba finally said, who was Nena? My mother. Mama Aoife looked into the fire, her expression unreadable. She was fierce, she murmured. A lioness with a heart of honey. She refused to kneel before the chiefs when they came for the village's daughters. So they burned everything. Oba clenched his fists. And you, took me? I found you in the ashes. Screaming. Alone. You were just a baby. I ran with you. Hid you. Why didn't you tell me? Her eyes met his. Because the truth doesn't always heal. Sometimes, it cuts deeper than lies. Suddenly, the wind howled through the hut, extinguishing the flame. And then, the drum beat. Doom. 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 But this time, the sound didn't come from the forest. It came from inside their home. Oba's eyes widened. The drum was here. It shimmered into view, glowing faintly beneath the floor. Oba touched it with trembling hands. Another vision exploded into his mind. He saw himself, as a baby, placed gently at the foot of the drum by a woman with tear-filled eyes. He saw warriors shouting. Mama Ife hiding him under her cloak. The drum watching it all. Then the voice returned. Truth will set roots where blood was spilled. But beware, fire still burns where silence killed. Oba staggered back. What was the drum trying to warn him about now? Mama Ife stood in the shadows, eyes full of something unreadable, regret, or fear. The time has come, she said softly. To return to Ojua. Ojua? Oba whispered. Your mother's village. What's left of it? Oba turned to her, his heart pounding. Then let's go. The wind shifted again. The past was no longer whispering. It was screaming. The road to Ojua was choked with vines, silence, and ghosts. No birds sang. Even the sun seemed to dim as they drew closer. Mama Ife walked ahead, slower than usual, as though her feet remembered the weight of what had happened here. When they reached the remnants of the village, Oba stopped. What once was a vibrant land full of dancers, drums, and palm wine now lay in ruin. Charred huts. Shattered stone idols. A shrine split in half by lightning. Oba stepped into the middle of the broken village square. The air was thick with memory. Mama, he whispered. What happened here? Mama Ife knelt at the shrine's base and whispered a prayer in a language Oba didn't recognize. They came at night, she said. The Council of Isaliko. They said Ojua's women refused to pay tribute. But that wasn't the truth. The council feared Nena's growing influence. Her voice reached too many ears. So they erased her. Oba's stomach twisted. His mother had been killed not for rebellion, but for truth. And his village had been destroyed to silence her forever. Then he heard it. Doom. 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 The drum echoed through the ruins, invisible, yet deafening. Oba turned and saw an old stone slab half buried in the earth. He dug feverishly until he uncovered it, an altar. At its center, a familiar carving. The same symbol etched into the talking drum. The seer's mark, Mama Ife whispered. Your mother was part of the order of listeners. Guardians of truth. Oba felt his heart collapse into something sharp. So the drum didn't just find me, he said. It's part of my blood. Mama Ife nodded. You were born to reveal what others buried. Oba stood slowly. The lies of Isaliko. The betrayal of the council. The murder of Nena. It all pointed in one direction now. Oba had to return to Isaliko. And this time, he wasn't just a boy with a secret. He was the heir to a legacy of truth. And he had a drum that would make the guilty tremble. Oba returned to Isaliko not as the silent orphan they had once ignored, but as a storm cloaked in purpose. The talking drum, now bound to him, rested in a leather sling across his back. Mama Ife walked beside him, her face hidden beneath her old hood. Word spread like wildfire through the village. Oba, the lost boy, had returned, with the forbidden drum. That evening, the council of elders summoned him. They met in the circle of ancestry, a hollowed-out space beneath the great baobab, lit by sacred fire and surrounded by stone masks carved in the image of ancient leaders. Chief Nweko stood at the center, his silver staff in hand. His voice echoed. You dare return with a cursed object, one that was buried generations ago to protect us? Oba stepped forward. You didn't bury it to protect the village. You buried it to bury the truth. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Chief Nwako's face tightened. Boy, you know nothing of what. Oba lifted the drum and struck it once. Doom. The sound vibrated through the roots of the tree. Visions burst into the air, spectral images projected in flame and smoke. Oba's mother, Nena, pleading with the council. The burning of Ojua. Chief Nwako receiving gold in secret. The crowd watched, stunned. You murdered a village to silence a woman. Oba's voice rose. You lied to the people. You covered your crimes with tradition. Panic overtook the council. Elders tried to interrupt, but Oba struck the drum again. Doom. The vision turned to Chief Nwako in his youth, plunging a knife into the shrine of Ojua. A woman in the crowd screamed, "That's my sister you killed." Another shouted, "We were told they were traitors." The council broke into chaos. Masks fell. Guards hesitated. Oba faced them all. The truth doesn't sleep forever. It drums. It echoes. And tonight, it returns. The crowd surged forward, not in violence, but with awakening. Justice, long silenced, had finally found its voice. The night sky burned gold as torches were raised, not for war, but for witness. Oba stood on the village platform, the drum at his feet, surrounded by a sea of faces. No more masks. No more silence. Chief Nwako and the elders were stripped of their titles. Some fled. Others begged forgiveness. But none could deny the truth the drum had poured into their eyes. The talking drum, once cursed, was now revered. Oba's voice echoed over the gathering. My name is Oba. Son of Nena. Guardian of the seer's mark. For too long, the truth has hidden behind whispers and warnings. From this day forward, no voice will be buried. No story will be silenced. Cheers erupted. Mama Ifa, standing nearby, wiped her eyes. Later that night, as stars blinked over Isaliko, Oba walked alone to the forest edge. The drum pulsed softly in his hands. You've shown me everything, he whispered. Now, what becomes of you? He struck it once, doom. The drum responded in a voice that shimmered like wind. Your voice is now louder than mine. My song ends when yours begins. A warm glow surrounded the drum. It began to fade, turning to mist, then memory, then nothing at all. Oba fell to his knees, overcome. The tool that had revealed everything, the lies, the legacy, the blood, was gone. But not forgotten. He stood, taller than before. Not because of magic. But because of truth. The next morning, Oba stood before the villagers once more, not as a boy who heard drums in the night, but as a leader. A new shrine was built, not to honor gods of silence, but ancestors of courage, like Nena. Children would no longer be taught only what was allowed. They would learn what was real. And sometimes, when the wind whispered through the baobab branches, a soft rhythm could still be heard, like a heartbeat of the past echoing into the future. Doom. 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 The truth, once hidden in the shadows, now walked in the light. And Oba? He was no longer just a boy in the forest. He was the one who made the drum fall silent, because the truth had finally been heard.